Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning into the COVID-19 lockdown account. Now, today I've got Jonah with me. Jonah is a freelance cameraman. He's currently in lockdown in his family home. So how are we doing, Jonah?
Hello there. Yeah, I'm doing not too bad. It's just, the struggles, the staying in, that's what it is. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here and have a chat with you guys, and obviously, especially yourself. So I'm very humble that you've decided to have a chat with me.
No, not at all, not at all. We want to hear stories from all over, and more importantly, it's just good to have people that have got something to say. You know, it doesn't have to be a necessarily amazing story or anything like that, but just hearing what people are going through right now, I think is going to help generations in the future. And if I can be a part of that, and if you can be a part of that, then why not, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's getting people talking, which is good. I think a lot of us have been a bit sort of introverts at the moment, which is not great, and it's just something that we all need, like, for the human mind, just to speak to anybody. I mean, it's great, obviously, if you've got a big family at home. I'm not at the moment. It's just me and my mum at the moment. So, which is great, but you hit a certain point and all that. And I'm talking to sort of my friends online and things like that, but it's just not the same. Obviously, you need that human interaction, and I think people don't realise how much that we miss that. Even just going to the shops and saying, "Oh, hello, I'll have a packet of those," or whatever that is, and things like that. But even obviously that's become a bit of a chore and a worry for some people, and myself as well, just popping to the shops. So yeah, it's been difficult.
Hmm. What would you say at the moment? So let's I suppose let's dive into that element of worry and the stuff that has been playing on your mind. And for those of you listening in the future, we are week 10, I believe, or yeah, I would have thought maybe even start of week 11. Um,
Yeah,
the start
blimey.
of the week. So we are now, they're starting to lighten up lockdown restrictions and stuff, aren't they? They're allowing us to go out and socially distance, but meet groups of up to 6 people. What
Mm.
are the kind of things that are really getting to you right now, which you're struggling with?
Um, it's seeing. I mean, there's also there's that kind of factor where I'm seeing people outside even now, and with their families and all that, and it's great that obviously some people are getting out and having the opportunity to do these things. I live near the beach, so it's not that great. So I actually do see obviously a lot of what's going on, and I'm sadly not seeing any of this social distancing and groups of 6 people or whatever, or it's way more than that. There's been groups of people coming down from London and things like that, and I'm near the train station, so I see it a lot. I mean, it's difficult and frustrating because we don't want to obviously stop it, because that's going to cause more of a problem. And it's that whole reverse psychology: don't do this, and people go and do it, and things like that. But I think it is getting a bit out of hand again now, though, because people are taking the government's words literally, like, oh yeah, you can pop out or do a bit of exercise or take your dog out, and now half the whole world is doing it, and like suddenly you never obviously used to see that before. And I appreciate, obviously, people are busy with work and things, they don't have time to do like working out or things like that, and they're taking the opportunity now, which is great, and hopefully it's something that people actually do keep up afterwards, because
Mm.
by the end of this lockdown, I expect everybody's homes to be absolutely incredible, like something on like Home Improvement, and I expect everybody to be completely ripped, because this is what everybody's been saying, taking pictures and all that. So I mean, that's obviously a really positive thing. I think people are trying things they've never done before, so there is that part in that sense, which is great. But there's also obviously this horrendous side to it where so many people have died, because my mum works in a care home. She's a carer, and I think, what is it, in 4 days, 10 people passed away. And you may argue and obviously say, oh, they're old, or they could have had existing health issues. And that may be true. Some of them did, but some of them genuinely didn't. And it's just incredible, obviously, to see that much of a large number so quickly happen to people. And obviously it's happening to young people as well. I don't know how to take this, especially with them saying about how they're opening the schools now as well. I used to be an ex-teaching assistant as well many years ago, and
Mm.
it's difficult to see how that's going to work.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that parents put that amount of trust into obviously the system. That trust obviously is very important, and that's incredible that that shows a lot. that they can trust, obviously, what's going on and all that. But I find it very difficult. I'm not sure how you do. Obviously, we're having kids yourself. I'm not sure how old they are, but it's difficult because children don't. Some of them, I mean, some of them can obviously understand and listen, but the whole distancing thing, we all forget ourselves in that moment, and I don't know how that's going to work. So, I mean, already I read, I think it was yesterday, a school's been closed already because there's been several teachers that have shown up with the COVID-19 thing already, and so it hasn't really worked in this case for that school. So, yeah, there is a worry that there is going to be this second wave. I think people are thinking it's just switched off like a light switch and you can go out and go to the beach and party. And I don't think that's the case. It's not like a war that we're fighting here. Well, it is, but it's an invisible one and you can't stop it. And I think people are being very naive towards that. And it's sad to see that. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. So, yeah.
Well, I very much agree with people are relaxing a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I agree that, going out for exercise, staying within your family unit, socially distancing, being safe, being clean, and, there inevitably has to be a time where we do come out, and I suppose now which I get, but it doesn't now mean shoulder barging in the aisles of Asda and, kind of high-fiving your mates and going to the pub and sharing out of each other's glasses. We're going to have quite a very lengthy period of social distancing and changing the way we do things until there is a successful vaccine, but there isn't going to be the option of herd immunity isn't going to happen, and the only two options are herd immunity or vaccine. So it's going to have to be vaccine, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think people are really struggling as well. I think that there is a good, obviously, percent. I don't want to obviously back down the public on that. They are doing really, really well, but there is a small percent out there, and we've all seen the viral videos and things like that. People are getting very agitated. Some of them feel the need to obviously enforce these rules themselves. It's good to remind each other, but people are taking it. I mean, it's great. I don't want to say obviously taking it too seriously, because obviously it is serious. It's great that they are, but some are doing it in a wrong way. I mean, I saw one with this carer and this lady in the shop online, and that went viral, and she was quite vile to her, and it's just, I don't know what it is with these sort of like power trips and things like that, and even down to just walking on the pavement, and like you'll see maybe a group of people and they'll make you go in the road, and it's frustrating because we obviously all need to work together. It's fine obviously moving for people and things like that, but there is this certain thing that's going about at the moment, and I've noticed it a lot, and people know obviously other people are afraid of it, and some people I think they think it's a game. So, and I'm not saying that to everybody, obviously, but there's just a small percent that do that, and it's very, very frustrating, obviously, because you're trying to obviously go out, get your milk, eggs, whatever you need to get, and things like that, and it's just not great. You don't expect to go into a supermarket and be videotaped by someone saying you've done this or that, or this or that, or something, and it's difficult because we are obviously all following the guidelines, some more than others, and the signs are there in places and things like that. I'd like people to obviously understand that it's not gone immediately, because I mean, it's obvious the pubs are closed still, the shops, food shops are still social distancing, regular shops are still closed. What does that tell everybody? It's not gone. Yes, you may be able to go to the beach and do things like that, but there's clearly, if the shops are closed and the pubs are closed, there's obviously a problem. Like, it's not on, it's evident, and it's incredible that obviously people are not seeing that. They're like, oh yeah, it's gone, it's all over, and it's just like, we've got a while yet, I think, and obviously they're saying there could be a second wave. Lord help us if there is, but hopefully not.
I think if there was a second wave as well, it would, because they said that when it came to like the Spanish flu and stuff, and the second wave that came from that was a more intense strain, was a mutated version of the original, which could then reinfect people. It would be catastrophic, I think, globally, a global depression, like when it comes to, not that that's the most important thing, but when it comes to economy, we would be in a very bad place. Even
Yeah,
if we are in
yeah.
a terrible place now, but we're being in a worse place. But even further as well, I think we could be looking at a huge impact on the global population, and
Mm,
especially areas that are third world that don't
yeah.
have a way of combating this, and any form of epidemic that they've encountered in years up to this, has just utterly destroyed nations. This level of pandemic
Mm.
in a third world country, it's they wouldn't recover.
No,
You know,
it's unthinkable actually, and again, I think that's kind of taken a back seat, which is absolutely awful because I know we're used to seeing sort of ads on TV and things like that, donate X amount a month and things like that, and obviously, yeah, that has been put on pause, but there hasn't really been a mention about other sort of third world countries and things like that, and yeah, there is that awful worry. I mean, yeah, as you say, they don't have certain doctors and things like that. They have got them in areas, but they're really stretched, obviously, and there's just so many people out there, and certain living conditions and things. So yeah, there is that enormous amount of worry. So even if I suppose it did go here, like what's to stop it happening again? Like if somebody visits another place when like airlines are open up again or something like that. So yeah, it's very intense to think how long this is obviously going to go on for, and
I think
yeah.
we're looking at a vaccine. That's the only
Mm.
thing that stop this is a vaccine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
we are allowed to go out and do stuff, but
Yeah.
as a dad, my kids are due to go back, and the schools have reassured us how they're going to do things. Like I've got a 3-year-old. You tell a 3-year-old you're not allowed to go and hug your friends. It's not going to
Mm.
happen. So
No.
they're keeping the kids in groups of sixes in little bubbles, and those are the
Right.
only kids they go and see. Because the
Right.
other worry is for a 3-year-old,
Mm.
where now she should be learning how to socialize, how to interact. She's
Yeah.
she's not getting any of that. So this could be hugely, well, it will be massively damaging to young kids if it
Yeah.
lasts too long. 3 months for a 3-year-old's okay, but a year, that's not, that's going to cause long-term social issues when it comes to developing her social skills, and it
Yeah.
will have an effect. It's going to have an effect on all the kids that aren't at school. So at the moment, it's a little bit of a lesser of two evils that
Mm.
got to try and weigh up. Um, and kids are very low risk. They've got a lot of stuff they're putting into place, and we do have to have an element of trust. And again, the moment there's a little sign of anything, pull it, pull them out, pull them
Yeah.
out.
Absolutely. What's your feeling about sending your children back to school? How do you feel about that? Do you feel at ease, or is that clearly as a parent
Not
very?
Definitely not at ease.
No.
Yeah, not. But at the same time, I know there has to be a time to go back,
Yeah.
and it will have to be before the vaccine.
Yeah.
So why wait?
Yeah.
So they flatten the curve. We do have, if God forbid, because the only people it would really affect would be me and my wife. Really,
Mm.
our kids would be fine. And we were all very ill. This is the other thing as well. We were all, as a family,
Yeah.
really ill last November, stroke December. Um,
Yeah.
had had all the symptoms. Had all the symptoms before this was even out there. Had a cough that wouldn't go. My dad, as well, he had a cough that he had for like months. We're talking like 4 months. That
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
He's fighting fit, very running, really, really fit. Looks
Mm.
after himself, very active. Has trained and exercised his entire life, um, and he could not shift this cough. Uh,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't be surprised if we even had it.
That's that. Honestly, there has been so many people that have said that as well. Me and myself and my mum had that as well in December, and I think, well, obviously it's called COVID-19. I believe it started in 2019. So I think there has been a huge percent of people that have already had it.
Yeah.
But I think the issue here is, though, they don't know if you can get it a second time. I know certain sources have said you can't, but then others are saying they're not sure. That's the thing. So, but yeah, I definitely sympathise with you there. I believe that a lot of people have had it. It was awful. I had it as well, December time, and it just wouldn't go. It really wouldn't go, and it dragged into January, and then eventually it did go, and then obviously it all kicked off on TV, and it's just like right. And I didn't think anything of that. I never made the dots, and then until like about a month ago or so, I thought, yeah, like, and then other people have been saying it online as well, and obviously yourself, and it's just like, yeah, I think people have obviously had this, like. It's definitely been making its rounds, and there's obviously, unfortunately, there's a huge, massive amount of people that obviously couldn't beat it, and it's evolved a lot now as well. So we don't know obviously how worse it is than what we probably had in December. It could be even worse. That's a thing. So yeah, it's incredible like how this has swept so quickly through the whole of the world. Basically, I'm amazed, and I don't know how to describe it. So just how the government's reaction is as well. I mean, everybody can say, obviously, oh, yeah, they should have done this or that and all that. But it's done now. And obviously, they're trying to do as much as they can at the moment. I'm not sure what your thoughts are towards that, obviously we have delayed.
You'll always have two camps, won't you? So, I mean, I think they did everything they could. They could have, probably could have reacted a little bit quicker. But how can you react to something like this? It's never been done before.
Yeah.
They had no, they had no guideline for this. There's no policy or procedure of global. There probably is actually, but there's nothing that is publicly available in case there is a public, a pandemic that's going to sweep the world. But they've done huge things to take precaution. They've turned a convention centre into a giant hospital. And now the crazy thing is, when they were doing that, the applaud that they got for doing it and how well they did it from the nation was amazing. And now because it hasn't been used, because we have been so effective at dealing with COVID-19, they're now getting stick because they built it and it was a waste of money.
Oh, I didn't know that. I genuinely think that's absolutely appalling. I mean, obviously, you have to prepare for the worst, and if they didn't, and obviously it did get worse, like then it'd be like, oh, why didn't you do this and that? It's what, as you say, it's one of them things. You cannot win. You can't. There's people that are going to say, yeah, amazing, obviously like us, and then others that are going, oh, taxpayers, oh, disgusting, and things like that. It's so incredibly difficult, obviously, and I can't imagine how it is for a politician, because obviously people are just like, oh, if I did this, I could have done this, and it's just like, yeah, but you're not thinking about all the other factors, and this is why they're there and you're not. So, I mean, yeah, obviously, I know that they're not great, but I don't think as many people could do this like obviously they could, and people need to just obviously stop with the whole, so and so could do this and that. It's just like, well, obviously not, because they're not in that position. So, yeah.
I think they've done a great job, to be honest. I think the communication's been fantastic. Bearing in mind the PM got it himself, and the usual stuff the media do just to keep people entertained, like this witch hunt to target one of the politicians that went out in his
absolutely. I mean, I can tell you that now, obviously, like I've worked in news stations as well as regular TV shows, and obviously you do sensationalize it. You have got to. It's got to sell. It's got to make headlines. It's got to be really interesting and exciting, and it's got to grab your attention. Because these days, people have got 3-second memory, and that they don't. If it's not that interesting, they don't want to read about it. So it's more interesting something like that to obviously show it, and obviously they really went to town on it, and
seriously,
completely taking away everything what's going on right now, and it's just focused on this one guy that went away with his family, obviously where he thought one of them was ill, and it's just like, well, that's okay. You've brought it up now, but we don't need to sort of I think they're continuing it now. Actually, it's just
it's still going on. It's still going on. So it's for those in future, there's a politician, Dominic Cummings, who had to, he feared for his own health because he thought he had the COVID-19 virus. So he decided to drop his family to a different location, which was quite a long journey away. Then he decided to go on a road trip to go and have a look at a castle to see if his eyesight had deteriorated. In truth, he was probably just decided to drop his kid somewhere and then wanted to look at a castle. It's one of those things. If we look at historical catastrophes, world
Yeah,
wars, you know, bloody, nuclear warheads going off, bloody
yeah,
atom
yeah,
bombs, a,
yeah,
a politician going to have a look at a castle.
yeah.
Come on,
I do understand with the public's reaction though, because it's obviously you're being told one thing and then somebody
yeah,
goes and I get that, but as I say, it's happened now, and well, they have relaxed the restrictions, and I know now, but like as I say, it's done, and I don't think we need to continue sort of going on about it now. I mean, the guy's obviously done the apology and things like that, and he's. I think he still obviously continues with his role and things like that, but it's difficult to obviously be put in that position because I'm sure if one of your children got ill, touch wood, that never obviously happened, but you would obviously do anything you could. Like you would drive to the ends of the earth, obviously, to help. You wouldn't just sit there and go, well, I'll just watch TV, see what they say. Of course you wouldn't. No.
no, you do what you've got to do. And
Yeah.
I think one of those things where it's been blown out of proportion, and the fact is there's probably nothing else to report on right now.
I think so. And I think if you notice, obviously, I think that has taken a back seat now, thankfully. But sadly, obviously, what's happened in America with George Floyd, that's now taken headline news. And unfortunately, I think the social distancing has gone out the window as well. And the whole protests around the world, I believe we've got one happening here in Southend as well. But it's a bit more planned. The way the English do it, it's I was talking to my friend in America actually yesterday, and it's very interesting how we do things here. It's very always prim and proper. Like if we're going to do a protest, it's always planned and days ahead, and then like the police know there, and nothing kicks off, which is good because obviously nobody's going to get injured or arrested immediately. But obviously in America, it's very spontaneous. But I get obviously you don't get results from doing something planned. It's got to be spontaneous and obviously everybody's really upset and angry. So, but there's a worry there that it's going to start a second wave because everybody's obviously they don't care obviously that they're being too close together and things like that, and it's really sad. I totally understand. Obviously, you want to have your voice heard, and this was an unprecedented. Like this is horrendous. That this man was murdered for no reason. Obviously, they suspected something, but like unfortunately, everybody's
A
like
non-violent crime, wasn't it? Non-violent.
yeah, and obviously, you got
Crazy.
4 of them, 2 of them holding him down, and then a third on his neck. I mean, it's any officer would say, well, you're in control here. This isn't an out of control situation. The guy's unarmed. You didn't need 3 of you on top of him, especially on his neck. So straight up, just looking at that, it's a wrong image immediately. And obviously, this is why everybody's so frustrated and upset and angry. So, but yeah, this unfortunately has happened during this time as well, and it's not helped. I'm sure you've seen the riots and the crowds and all that. Nobody is distancing. I mean, there's a few people wearing masks maybe and things like that, but it's a worry to think maybe it's going to happen again and come back worse and worse. I've no idea. I don't think any of us do, but we can only just sit and obviously wait and see the numbers and things. So yeah.
I've actually got I've interviewed a few people from the States this week,
Yes.
and I've got some more people in the States
Yeah.
next week
Yeah.
and later on this week, and all they are saying is, fingers crossed we'll do our interview, but
Yeah.
America, they've all just said, and they're all in different states, that America is on fire right now. Like
Yeah. It is. Yeah. Yeah.
it's the people are doing their thing, and that they are they're revolting against this kind of behaviour.
Yeah.
The sad thing is as well, and you can see their police force over there supporting this by taking a knee and putting a hand in the air.
Yeah.
It just takes a few people, or even a concentrated area, like a concentrated part of a
Yeah.
town where it's been, they're infected with racism, and that gives the rest of the police force out there a bad rep. And it's not the case. It's really not the case that they are all like that at all. But
Yeah. No,
they just
definitely
sniff
not.
out the
No.
bad eggs. They just need the bad egg. They need to sniff them out. And if it means you I know that they're very, I know a lot of people in the police over this side, and you do have to have that level of camaraderie and I've got your back. But if
Yeah,
someone's just going to break the law and use their power for bad, like
yeah.
for the bad, then you're in the wrong job, mate. Go and get a management position and shout at people doing that. Don't kill people.
No, exactly. I think the other officers are probably shocked that happened as well. I'm by all means never going to stick up for the other officers because they were just as to blame. They were involved, but I don't think that they realised obviously that the guy was going to die. Clearly, the other officer knew his intentions. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't put your knee on somebody's neck, let alone an arm or anything. So I don't think they realised it was going to go that far. I mean, the other officer, the main one, I think he probably did, but they are just as bad watching and not stopping this. And it's amazing that something like this can happen in today's world. You would have thought, obviously, that things like this was over. Like, you wouldn't think that colour was an issue or gender or anything, but it apparently it still is in certain places. And I don't think it's entirely obviously, I take that back. Yeah, not just places. As you say, I think it's just certain individuals that's the problem with. And as you say, it makes it worse because they're part of a community. Like obviously, the police. That's even worse. And obviously, there have been officers that stood up and said that this guy's wrong. He shouldn't have done this. This wasn't procedure. And obviously, it's difficult because they've got to say. They're trying to obviously prove themselves that, hey, we're not all like this. And I think obviously everybody does realise that, which is great because obviously they are doing amazing work out there. They're still continuing doing amazing work. And they're doing this during this pandemic as well, like still making arrests and things like that, putting their lives at risk, like coming very close contact to people, arresting them and things. Yeah. And it's incredible that they have to still obviously do this. And now they've got this on their reputation, and it's difficult because obviously, this now every police officer in the world, like it's happening. I think it's going to happen obviously worldwide, these rights, because it's already reached obviously England, and it's just it's very, very sad and disheartening because obviously people shouldn't be afraid of the police or lose faith in them. We need them, regardless of your opinions, anybody's. Like we need them here. They're there to protect us and serve. And unfortunately, obviously, as we've said, there are just a few certain ones that shouldn't fit the bill, really. So yeah.
Scary thing as well is the virus.
Yeah.
Does not, it kind of does impact different races differently as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Like for instance, you've got a higher survival rate if you're fit, healthy, male and Caucasian, right? That's the thing. However, it is, it's showing that if you are of poor health, if you're kind of Afro-Caribbean or African descent, very high risk.
Yeah.
And this protest is about Black lives.
Yeah.
The majority of people that are going to be protesting, I hope not. I hope everyone is protesting, but I guarantee there's a lot of Black people that are going to be protesting because of this.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. But then are they going to be coming into contact with people that are going to be of poor health? Do they have older generations that they're going to be seeing later that are the highest, the highest risk with the COVID-19 strain? Because they've said, if you are older, if you are not of the best health, if you've got any underlying health issues, which I think, a very high percentage of people over the age of 60 will have an underlying health condition, whether it's like type 2 diabetes, whether it's arthritis, there are so many things out there that all attribute to this, to being very, very high risk, and then put it in the category of being of African descent.
Yeah.
That is just going to cause an absolute nightmare because of the timing of it. The rioting during this pandemic could spark, definitely in America, a second wave that's going to be targeting Afro-American.
Yeah, it's a very scary thing to think of, and as you say, I think it's just gone out the window. And I think, yeah, they're just not worrying, obviously, about themselves. They want their voices heard, which, yeah, rightfully so. But it's just, yeah, bad timing, as you say. It really is. And it's so sad, because we don't want any more deaths, definitely not. And especially, obviously, and in the black community as well, you don't want anything like this at all to happen. Like, because
Devastating blow.
yeah, there's just no more reasons for people need to, like, that have to die from this at all. Like, I mean, absolutely have the rights, be angry, but there's got to be a way to do it. I know, obviously, as I said earlier, you can't, like, planning something. It's difficult, because obviously then it's the whole police knows spontaneously, you catch them out, and obviously you get your voice heard. But it's difficult because there's no system there, and everybody's just running wild, and there's just germs everywhere, and it's difficult. Sorry.
With the looting, for instance, you
Yeah.
are literally going into a store where other people have touched stuff,
Yeah.
grabbing hold of stuff, and then running back home.
Yeah.
It's the same, like obviously I don't agree with the looting side of things, because you're targeting a lot of small businesses with that.
Mm.
But it is the same idea as, like, the bee and the pollen. You know, it'd be going in, covering itself and going back to the hive. And when it comes to certain pesticides,
Yeah.
a bee gets the wrong pesticide on its body, or it gets a poison on its body, it'll go back to its hive and it'll kill everything in that hive.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. It's the same concept.
It's a very good. That's a good sort of way to explain it. Actually, really, that's very, very interesting. Good for children, actually, as well. That should be actually used in schools. That actually, that's quite a good one. Yeah, no, the looting. Unfortunately, I think that's a lot of opportunists there. Just using that situation for financial gain. It's not really saying a message out there. It's just people taking things for what they want, and I think it's a disgrace. It's not good in the name of George Floyd's memory doing something like that. Absolutely not. Like, I don't think he'd approve of that as well. Like, if you're going to obviously do a right thing, seriously, you don't need to smash everything up and start stealing. Like, it just doesn't work. It really doesn't. I think obviously it shocked the nation and all that, and well, the whole world. And I think obviously they have got some results, but they're not there yet, obviously, because they've got the following 2 officers arrested, but they want the other 2 arrested, and they want it changed from 3rd-degree murder to 1st-degree, which I agree with too, because it's 1st degree is obviously with the intent to kill what you're doing, whereas the 3rd degree, it's kind of like, oh, it was an accident type thing. I don't think it was. So I mean, I read somewhere that apparently it was on a news source, actually, a reliable one. I think it was the New York Times, that apparently he did know George Floyd, the officer, did years ago. So they have known each other, apparently, and they said it. Yeah, apparently it could have been a personal sort of attack, and it's shocking to find that out. It really is, and they do leave that out a lot in the news here as well. And I was genuinely surprised to hear that. And I believe one of the guy that did it as well, I think didn't he shoot a Native American as well, or something like that, or it might have been the other officer. This was like 2008 or something.
There's been a lot of there's been a lot of kind of personal stuff that they've done in the past that kind of does ring a few alarm bells. But
it's bizarre that they've been allowed to obviously remain in that role, but it's just not good. And as we say, back to the whole COVID-19 thing as well, it's just such bad timing, and it's really unfortunate, and for everybody to continue doing what they're doing, because we've come so far and everybody's been doing so well, and now obviously this has happened, and it's just not good. It's like 2 steps forward, 4 steps backwards. It's not good. It's not good at all. And it's put an enormous amount of pressure on all of the doctors as well. So they've gone out there and maybe not obviously with the intent to be infected with these riots, but now some of them could be, and now it's just kind of like, well, that could have been avoided. I'm not saying don't do anything for George, but there could have been another way. I don't know what that way is. I've got no right to obviously speak like that, but I'm just sure there was a certain other way that something could have been done instead of obviously congregating all together, because it's just caused a massive amount of worse consequences what are
Yeah.
going on. And hopefully nothing does happen, but it's likely that it's going to. So
yes, there's one thing, you know, being a martyr, but
yeah,
being a martyr that involuntarily affects other people that you come into contact with, you know,
yeah.
not quite the same. In fact, that's yeah, it's bordering on something else I'm not gonna go into just yet. But
No, I do feel that there is that sort of aspect that it happens here a lot as well. The whole oh well, it's my body. I can go out and I'm not going to infect anybody else. But the issue is you will, and you don't know that you're going to. Especially if you're going to the shop quickly to get a few cans or whatever going on the beach. It's just there's a certain level of almost selfishness. I don't want to say that, but there is, because it's kind of like, well, I'm going to have my summer and I'm going to take it, and it's kind of like, well, there will be other summers. It's fine to go out and things like that, but there's just these groups of people and things, and they're really taking advantage of the situation, and it's difficult to see that, and I see it a lot along where I live as well, and it's kind of like some of you aren't obviously family. You're fine to obviously see friends, but there's people with push chairs and kids, and you just think you're meeting up with these big groups of people and going to have sort of like a party or whatever, and it's just like, do you not realize what could happen? Like, I know it's a case of like, oh well, you only live once. People can say that, but I don't think you get to decide that for somebody so young. It's not really fair. So it's such a difficult situation, because we either all stay in and become introverts and ghostly white like myself, or we try, and I don't know, there needs to be a healthy medium, and I think we've been trying to do that, but since they've eased it, everybody's just been like, oh, go, and it's just like, whoa, slow down, and it's just like, you all can't go out at once, like, but then obviously it's difficult, because it's kind of like, well, who gets to go out, who makes these decisions? It's obviously people have got to use their head and think about this, and unfortunately I think there's a big percent that aren't, and there are some that are. So it's a big mess. It's a big mess what's going on. It really is. I've had to personally, for myself, I don't really want to talk about myself that much, but I've had to personally put things on hold. I was filming in America just before Christmas, and I've never experienced it before, but I've been having a lot of seizures, and I had to fly back to the UK, and I've had lots of appointments with doctors, been on certain medication and things, and they've wanted to do a brain scan, but everything's been put on hold at the moment, understandably. But there's always that fear and risk there, and obviously for other people that have issues as well, like it's kind of like, well, I don't know what on earth I've got wrong with me. Like, touch wood, it's nothing severe, obviously, but there are people that have got things like cancer that have had to put everything on pause, like treatment. So, and I don't think people really realize that. They just think, oh yeah, my work's gone on pause, or the economy's going to go bad, and it's kind of like, but these people that have obviously got illnesses and things, like, nobody's really talked about that. They've said it a few times on the news, but it's so sad. Like, some people probably will die of cancer before they get COVID-19, and it's just, I don't know how to like express that amount of like just sorriness, and that they have to take a back seat. Like, it's just crazy, and I'm gobsmacked, as you can see. I just, it's just hard to comprehend, because there's a lot of ill people out there, obviously, that do rely on the NHS, and all of that's had to pause at the moment. So yeah,
very scary times. Is there anything you found that's really kind of helped you at the moment? Is there anything that's really kind of picked you up or given you a bit of direction and focus during this time?
Yes, yeah, it's always been through my work, and I'm sure you've obviously felt that yourself, and there's probably other individuals out there as well. Always with my work. I mean, if you are at home and you're, it's difficult to say. I suppose, let's say, for example, you're maybe a cab driver. I mean, I know cabbies are still doing their bit, but there are some that can't, and that would be probably difficult to think what you would do with something like that. Fortunately, I'm very lucky, because mine is computer related. I can do, obviously, conferencing and talk to other clients, and then do some video editing, or even stock footage I can film at home of certain things that somebody would need. But somebody in other circumstances, I am thinking about it now, and it must be very difficult for somebody that probably has a different type of job that doesn't involve maybe technology, and it does involve maybe something physical, like obviously driving or something. What would you do at home? I suppose, yeah, that would be difficult. But in one sense, I think it's pretty incredible as well. Everybody has discovered their own self, if that makes sense. Some people obviously already knew their sort of self talent and things like that, but I think people are discovering that they can do certain things that they never did before because they've had this distraction of the hustle and bustle of work, whether it be in London or wherever you work. That always takes priority, and understandably, obviously, you need to live and pay for food and rent and whatever. But I think being at home, people have realised the value of obviously how precious life is, and certain things that they probably had never tried before. I think that's really cool. Like, so I've been seeing lots of projects that people have been doing online. So whether it's doing up their house, doing something digital, or doing something in the garden. I mean, that's really, really good. And the people that have gardens, they are very, very lucky people. Myself, unfortunately, don't have a garden, so I don't have that luxury of even going outside for a bit of fresh air. I mean, I can open my windows, but there's a worry, obviously, that there could be a group of people next minute that there have been, and they've been either drunk or coughing, and you think, I've got to close the window. But it's difficult because obviously you don't want to live like that and think, oh, well, you could go outside one day and be hit by a car. It's that whole scenario. So it's interesting. I mean, I'm not sure what have you sort of learned about yourself while you've been off with this. I mean, have you sort of developed any sort of personal skills? I mean, obviously it must have been really, really, really great spending all that extra time with your kids as well, but there must be obviously kind of like I need a bit of a break type thing as well. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but yeah.
No, I found my true. I'd say I backed up a previous thought that my true passion is communication and
Yeah.
communicator, and I've enjoyed this project that I've started. I've managed to move and pivot some of my business online,
Yeah.
which when we do reopen, I'll keep going as well, which won't mean I've taken my business and moved it online. Actually just means I've created a new online business that won't really take up too much extra time, which is great. And I'd say that, I've also learned to meditate a bit better. I've learned to be mindful. I was practicing mindfulness anyway to help with things like anxiety, stress. I actually, as weird as it sounds, I like my anxiety.
Okay, right.
I'm I've never been diagnosed. I wouldn't say maybe I don't have anxiety. Maybe I get anxious. I don't know. I don't know the difference. I don't let it define what I do, but I know that I get a very strong urge and feeling that I need to be active, to the point of where it makes me feel ill if I don't. And if I sit still and do nothing and let my brain whir on, I get an awful kind of anxious feeling where it can be mentally debilitating. So I start working and I start going, and I'll end up doing 14-hour days, and that motivation propels. So I've learned to harness that and then be mindful to come away from that, which has really helped me, and helped me sleep as well.
Okay, so when you since all this has happened and all that, do you think that you would have actually taken these other avenues had this not have happened?
No.
Finding positive in this, would you have done the extra work for a website? No, yeah.
We never found that. I had time to sit and talk to my wife.
Yeah.
Who sits and watches what I do and what the family business does from a different point of view. And she was the one that sat there and said, why don't you do this, this, and this? And there was an aha moment where I thought, how did I not see that? It's such an amazing idea, And we put it out there. We sold out within 4 days on one program.
Right.
Sold out within 4 days on the next.
Yeah.
So, excuse me.
No
Early start today, and we would never have had that time to sit and talk properly about options, because she has fantastic ideas, and I managed to systemize them quite quickly. That's where I come into it. So it was a fantastic idea, and it kind of saved our bacon. It really, really, really did. But anyway, we're going to come into a bit of a close now, Jonah. So I'm going to
Sure,
talk.
sure. Yeah, sure. I've gasped on quite a lot. I do talk a bit, but
Oh, no, it's good. It's good. Pretty naff podcast if you didn't. But
yeah.
if you have you been given any kind of advice, or has anyone said anything quite poignant to you that you've taken stock of that's really helped you through these times?
Yes, I've been calling my friend a lot in America actually, and we've just been discussing and just being very very positive about things. So yeah, it'll be so I think he said something really interesting actually. He said do at least one thing a day that will achieve something. It's not his saying, but obviously, but it's a very very true thing. If you just do at least one thing, like just to get you out of bed and do something like that, if you're feeling that like just the whole like sick of thisness, just get one thing done. And that's what I've been doing. I've been getting not just the one thing done, but I've been doing several things, and it's a good feeling. And that's one thing I think everybody should take away from this is actually just to have the enthusiasm to get up and go and actually do these things that we've these things that have taken a back seat for years. So whether it's, oh, I'll repair that shelf or whatever, or I'll paint that wall and all that. And you've probably been saying it for like 2 years, but like, do it. Seriously, just do it. Like, and see what happens. And you might do something else. And it's just keeping that brain going and the mind. And instead of just sitting there watching the TV and listening to this depression. And it's fine listening to it every so often and obviously getting an update, but don't listen to it all the time. It's sensationalized. I mean, it's true what's going on. I'm not going to say obviously that it's lies, but it's sensationalized. You don't want that on you all the time, all that weight on your back, and oh, I can't go out, I can't do this, I can't do that, oh, I'm worried. Just no, you've got to do something, whether it's anything. So that's kind of how I've been going through it every day and every week. Just doing one little thing, and I've repaired tons of things as well. I'm a bit of an electronics person, and I've been fixing lots and lots of things, and it's great. I didn't have the time to do that obviously because I've been working, and it's kind of like, oh, I'll do that another time. And now I don't think I've got anything left to fix. So so yeah,
interesting. I'll send you some stuff to fix. I'll send you. You need fixing, so I'll send you some. Yeah. Okay, I've got one last question for you, Jonah, before we come into a bit of a closing. You probably already said the answer throughout this episode, but if you could go back in time, if you could go back to when this all started, and you could give yourself one piece of advice, you could send yourself a text message or something, and it would go back in time. What one piece of advice would you give yourself?
It would be talk to people more. I know that sounds cliche. It would be talk to people more, because the first few months I didn't bother talking to anybody. I mean, I spoke to my mum in my household and all that. That was it really. I mean, I typed a few messages to people, but doing this helps. And I know some people don't have access to certain things, but the majority do in the UK. We've all got a phone, most of us, or an old laptop even, but this face-to-face interaction on the computer, I think it's important just to see somebody and see their emotions and things like that. It's more, you get more out of that than just hearing somebody's voice on a phone or typing. It's not enough. So yeah, what I would say to myself back then is definitely talk to more people. And it doesn't have to be like old friends, and because I know some people have been going, oh, you're only bothering now because you've got all this extra time. And I know that sounds unfair, and it's difficult with that, but definitely, yeah, talk to more people, whether it is old friends or just even work colleagues. Just see how someone's going, or have a chat with your neighbour or online or something, and just say, just checking in, how you doing, and things like that. Have a nice cuppa at the computer and that, because it's just not healthy. Just sitting there in your house and not really talking to anyone. It's not good. It really isn't good.
No, I love that, mate. And you know, I'm a big fan of that. I think the human interaction is the thing that separates us from effectively just being animals. You know, that human interaction and being able to socialise and enjoy each other's company like this. And it also helps share ideas and share problems, because that's, you know, problem shared is a problem halved and all that. I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I've had a few projects where I've been talking to one of my friends about that, and as you say, much like your wife as well, like they'll give you an idea and you think, yeah, why did I think of that? And it's kind of like, I probably wouldn't have thought that had I not had called this person. So there's always that plus of that, and that's great. That's really, really good. So yeah, just having more than one person's opinion on something instead of just trying to fathom it out yourself. It's a lot easier on your brain. So do all yourselves a favor and just do that. It's a lot easier. So, yeah.
Jonah, that's in the book. That's going to go in the soundbite, I think, that one.
No worries.
I'm going to wind us down now. I'm going to say thank you to everyone for watching and listening. Don't go anywhere, though, Jonah, because I'm going to have a little debrief with you after I press that stop button. But thank you so much for today, mate.
No, it's been a pleasure, Jerry. I really appreciate you having the call and all that. Thank you to Bobby that put me in touch with you as well. It's just, again, another face-to-face interaction, and it's good for the soul. And yeah, it's great to have a chat with everybody.
No, absolutely, mate. And let's hope we could help someone else. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. More importantly, if you have enjoyed today's episode, please do use social media for the good that it's there for. Press that share button and influence somebody else so they can enjoy what you've just enjoyed yourself. Also, if you do feel like you want to tell us a little bit about your experience, please do just put something in the comments bar below and we'll get back in touch with you within around about 24 to 48 hours. One last thing, if you do have a voice and you'd like to help me on my gargantuan task of interviewing 100 people during the COVID-19 lockdown, send me a message via ABC Fitness or stick something in the comments bar below and I'll be in touch. Jonah, thank you so much for today's episode, mate, and I'll be catching up with you soon.
No problem. Take care.